Welcome to Think Big with Dan and Qasim. Join hosts Dan Melnick and Qasim Masood as they explore big ideas, limitless possibilities, and engage with visionaries, entrepreneurs, and thought leaders who dare to dream big, get inspired, motivated, and find practical tips for personal growth. Think big, dream bigger, and ignite your potential.
Welcome to the Think Big with Dan and Qasim. Today, our guest is Jason. Jason, how are you doing today?
Doing good. Thanks for having me on.
Awesome. So, Jason, let us know where you live and what you do.
So I live in mountains of Durango, Colorado. And what we do is take people from F this to heck yeah and help out agency owners really turn the corner. And I've been doing it for 11 years and ran an agency before then for 12 years.
Awesome. So let us know a little bit what are your core responsibilities in your business, because every entrepreneur, every founder may have multiple hats. So what are your hats?
So, at the end of the day, I'm the CEO. So I really only do 5 roles. And I learned this when I was running the first agency. So when you start off or until you really kind of figure it out, you're doing everything, right? You have multiple hats. Right now, all I do is I set the vision, I communicate it to the team, I face of the organization. So I love to create content, getting on podcasts, getting on stages. I go through the KPIs of the business, I build relationships, and I coach and mentor my leadership team. And that's really kind of the 5 roles I look at when people become a CEO versus a owner that wears multiple hats.
Makes sense. Awesome. So can you, Jason, let us know who are your ideal clients or other customers who you work with? And on the other hand, what is the way to reach your customers? Are you using social media or you're using offline marketing as well?
Yeah, our audience is all agency owners, right? So I wanted to create a resource I wish I had when I was running the first agency before I sold that. And it's the agency owners that are wanting to grow, wanting to change, not the ones that watch a video of, I saw a video a little while ago of like, hey, here's an extra way to make $10,000 a month and start an agency. I'm like, those are not our audience. So our audience is more seasoned. So yeah. And what was the second question?
And you reach your customers via digital marketing or the offline marketing?
All digital marketing, right? And all marketing's pretty much the same. When I started the first agency in 99, there wasn't many different types of agencies, right? There was kind of outdoor and TV. And now if you don't have a digital play, you're kind of toast, right?
Makes sense. All right. So, in terms of digital marketing, I believe when you have a specific niche, when you have specific customers, like you are not onboarding every customer, just like you mentioned. So, in these cases, because on social media, you will see every type of person. So, how do you differentiate your ideal customers on the internet? Because there's a possibility that everybody is reaching you, and now you have to sort it out who is good and who is not.
Well, we always have a call. So, we run a very pretty amazing community and we do a lot of live events. And even if you can buy a ticket to our live event, we always have an initial call with you to make sure that you have similar values that we do, right? So a lot of our events and starting out, our first couple of events were at my house in Colorado. And so I always told everybody, I don't want any of those creepy people in there. And so we always kind of judge it based on, would we want to go out to dinner with this person? Would we want them in our house? So that's really how we kind of qualify the right people. And we turn away a lot of people because, like for example, let's say we get on an initial call and I'm asking you questions about your agency. And if I go, where are you at with revenue now and where are you trying to go? And if you're like, you need to sign an NDA and I'm not, those are private numbers. I'm like, well, you're not going to be right for our community because our community is all about, sharing what's working, what's not working and being transparent and helping other people out. So that's really how we filter people out.
All right. So you onboard clients after doing some interviews.
Oh, they all come through interviews. Yeah. Yeah. We don't have like join my school program, and no, it's you're getting on a call with us and we're going to try to help you out. But we're also really kind of figuring out, are you our kind of people as well?
Makes sense. So in terms of differentiators, like every business do have their own differentiators and market is still very big and there is a lot competition out there. So in terms of your differentiators, Can you let us know, like, what are your differentiators?
Well, there's a lot of people that have never done what we've been able to do, right? So we started the agency in 99 by accident. We're an accidental agency owner. We work with brands from LegalZoom, Hachi, AT&T, Lotus Cars, Porsche, and we were able to grow over 8 figures and sell it. And I guess other people, I don't know, we don't really kind of pay too much attention. I look at our competition or the other people out there are cat videos and procrastination. So, but a lot of other people haven't built a successful agency or had a successful exit. And I'm talking about not just selling it to yourself. There's, right. There's a lot of people who've been like, I sold an agency. I'm like, well, not to your other business that you started. That doesn't really count. But we've had a podcast for the past 11 years, never missed a week, and interviews some of the best in the world. So we put out our best content for free. And then if you liked our content, you might like the community.
Makes sense. So, Jason, can you let us know, can you break a myth and let us know what are the biggest three main mistakes that owners are doing in current scenario, the owners are doing whenever they are starting a company?
Not being willing to fail, and it really goes to, I think we're all impatient, including me. I'm even getting my team's making me get a tattoo on my forearm of a turtle to be patient, right? When I'm trying to hurry up. And I think everybody's impatient. They want things, to be $1 billion in the first week. And when you're starting a business out, it's like a Vegas buffet. You got to try every little thing, every little item out and see what you like, what you don't like, what makes you sick. And that's really kind of the same thing when starting out a business or an agency. Figure out what types of clients do you like? Which types of clients can you get results for? Which types of clients that are horrible, right? And then really kind of start there and be patient about figuring out that process. And then I think after that, it's all about figuring out what's your true value that you provide to them. There's lots of agencies that I've engaged with that are really good at sales and marketing, but they suck at delivery. Like they can't get the results. And it's just because I feel that a lot of these people, I don't know, they've taken a course and concentrate on marketing and sales, and then they ring that bell, but they don't realize that now they have to deliver. And so once you figure out how can you make your offering very impactful to your customer, and then share that with the customer, because a lot of times the customer doesn't know what the heck you're actually doing. So I think communication back and forth is key. And then once you know where you're going, what your impact is, then charging accordingly, right? Figuring out that right pricing. A lot of agencies start off, they start charging a certain price, and then they never raise their price. And I'm like, what? When's the last time you raised your price? 5 years ago, 4 years ago, 2 years ago, whatever it is. I'm like, man, you should be raising your prices all the time based on the value that you're getting. And so, those are some of the three. I mean, there's thousands of little areas, along the way that you need.
All right. So I can see there's a book, Accelerating Agency. So this is a book, I believe. Can you let us know a little bit about this book? Who wrote this and how you like this?
I wrote this book 8 years ago, and it still holds true today. It's all about creating the right systems in your business in order to really kind of scale up. The first system is all about clarity, right? So years ago, when I was running the first agency, we got to about 2.5 million and I wanted to quit. I literally hated my job. I didn't like what I was doing. And I even took a job interview with NASCAR, and they asked me 2 questions that changed everything to give me that clarity that I needed. And they asked me, what do you want to do every day and what don't you never want to do again? I couldn't answer it in the interview. I went back though, and I thought more about the question. And I realized that when I started writing down everything I hated, and then I started focusing after that, everything I loved, I started gaining clarity of who my clients needed to be, what I wanted to actually do, how did I want to structure my team based on the things I didn't want to do. And so really, that's really the first system of figuring out what's that clarity, rather than being reactional to everything actually coming to you. The second system is all about positioning. How can you position yourself to really kind of stand out when everybody else looks like a Me Too agency or a Me Too business? And then the third, which is the last part of the foundational system, is really around your offering. What do you need to offer? What do you need to be charging? What's the right order that you need to do in order to win these deals faster, to build trust, in order to win the bigger engagements? And then once you have that foundation, then you can go on to prospecting, right? And figure out what are the channels I need, the inbound, outbound, strategic partnership channels we talk about in the book. The next is having a sales system. So sales doesn't rely on you as an owner and you can actually hand it off. And how do you create that sales system? And then the last couple systems are around delivery, avoiding scope creep, making sure you deliver value, how to communicate with your client, how do you build the right team around operations. And then the last system in this book is all around leadership. How do you transform, like I told you in the very beginning from your first question, is how do you transform from an owner to a CEO? And do you need to set up a board? How do you sell your business? How do you position to sell? Do you want to sell your business? And so it really kind of takes all the stories along the way and a lot of the frameworks that we've used and just breaks it down very easy so people can actually follow it.
Makes sense. So, in terms of the goals, every company needs to set their goals. And goals may have the word pivot as well, with some if-else conditions. After some if-else, there may be a pivot as well. So, do you think pivot word is a friendly word in the field of entrepreneurship, or this is something very scary?
I think it's a great thing. I mean, what I knew yesterday is already outdate for today, right? And so as we gain more knowledge, so let's say, for example, last year I set a goal for X, Y, and Z, but then AI happens, right? And more of the AI agents are coming out and all this kind of stuff. Well, and as I learn more about that, I'd be like, wow, man, I didn't need to build my team this big. I can actually create a lot of automation and AI and this kind of stuff for these particular things or to enhance my team. So pivoting, you should pivot all the time.
I've seen many entrepreneurs are just afraid of pivoting. So that's why I was asking, because many businesses even just collapsed, just shut down just because they're not able to pivot at the right time. Yeah, that's why I asked it. All right. So, Jason, let me know what are your goals, maybe short-term goals in next 3 to 6 months.
Well, I mean, our ultimate goal or North Star is really to be a resource I wish I had when I was running the first agency. So those are always kind of the North Star. And then the short-term goals are really just to create more freedom for our members in our community and help them really increase their net profit. That's really the two goals that we always measure ourselves on. We don't have revenue targets just because if we hit the other two, the revenue targets will be there.
Awesome. So can you please share one of the biggest challenge that you have ever faced and you were able to cope up with it?
It was probably dealing with a partner that our business outgrew their role. They just couldn't grow as fast as we were growing. Now, at certain times, the business outgrew my capability, right? And so, but I was able to learn and kind of adapt and grow more. How I overcame that, I sold the agency. And looking back, was that the right decision? I mean, it was a life-changing decision. I didn't have to work again, but would I have done it again? I don't know. Because when I look back, I sold because I wanted to fix that problem. But then I also felt like I knew I was further along than my business partner at the time. He was a nice guy, amazing guy. And then I also felt like I was getting to my cap. But looking back, right, like we grew that agency to a little over 13 million. And looking back now of everything I know, I'm like, man, we could have grown it to 100 million, right? But then I'd probably hit another, ceiling. Oh, I don't know what over 100 million looks like. And then I'd probably, position and sell again, right? And then you look back and you're like, oh, I could have created $1 billion. So that was probably the biggest challenge because I kept going back and forth. Like, do we sell? Do I buy them out? Do I talk to, there was all kinds of things going back and forth.
Makes sense. You are more a goals-oriented person, I believe. So in this case, how do you measure the success of your business? Because there is one easiest way to calculate the success, which is obviously the numbers, revenue, right? So other than revenue or the sales, what is the way of measuring the success?
Your success stories, right? I mean, that's how we measure them. It's about like how many agencies were able to get to a position where they could sell or have the opportunity to sell. How many agencies are loving what they're doing again, or, how many agencies are, just doing the stuff that they want to do in the business and they're the chairman, right? Like, or whatever their goals are, right? When people come into our community, we always ask them, what are their goals? Where are they trying to go? And that's where we try to help them out. So I think that's the first part. The second part is internal, and it's really around how much does your team love doing what they're doing? We were lucky that I had two amazing teams, one for the previous agency, and we got the best place to work in Atlanta, which is the only award I ever cared about. It's probably the only true award too, versus like, the Addy Awards or any of the stupid awards people pay for. And then just being able to wake up every day and work with a team that loves what they're doing and you love what they're doing and everyone's gelling, like that's the true success. Because that success will formulate the success for your clients. Who cares about the top line revenue numbers? I always laugh when people go, I'm a $30 million agency. I'm like, I don't give a shit or I don't care, right? So,
Well, this is a pretty difficult thing that your team is aligned with your dreams, with your goals, and no doubt this is a big success that you have right now. Awesome. So, Jason, at the end, can you please share one biggest piece of advice with our audience? In our audience, you can give an advice to especially to the ones who are dreaming to be their own boss.
well, be careful what you wish for, right? Like you think being your own boss is going to be the best thing ever, and it can be. But in the very beginning, until you figure out a lot of the systems and you get the right people in the right seat, it's going to be a complete nightmare. It's going to be a prison, right? Like you hate your job right now and you're like, oh, and then you start your own company, but everything falls on your shoulders. Everything that goes wrong is your fault because you put the team in place. You made all those decisions. But it is for the ones that actually start trying to figure it out or surround themselves with the right people, it is one of the most rewarding after, right? Like I only work less than 20 hours a week, right? Or actually 20 hours a month. And we're able to go, I've been able to structure the day. And here's the advice I give. Figure out what's your optimal day and then go from your optimal day to your optimal week and really kind of auditing your calendar. So for example, if you print out the last 2 weeks of your calendar, put it on a sheet of paper, highlight the meetings that give you energy that you loved and you walked away like really feeling refreshed, highlight that in green. The ones that really drain the hell out of you, highlight that in red. And then figuring out how much time that you work throughout the week, because what you need to try to figure out, and it took me a long time to figure out, and everyone's different, right? You have to figure out what is your optimal fighting weight, being how much time do you need to put in? If I work over 20 hours a month, I feel drained. If I work under 20 hours a week, I feel bored. And it took me years to figure this out by doing this. So then what I started doing is once I figured out my optimal day, I was like, hey, from 9 to 2 is when I'm ready to go, right? Like for meetings, thinking about work, all that kind of stuff. So I'm only going to work that. Then once I started figuring out the optimal day, I started saying, well, what's optimal week? Well, Mondays, everybody's dragging, right? So I don't ever want to have meetings on Monday, but I do want to get ready for the week on Monday. Then Tuesdays through Thursdays are when I'm going to meet with the community members, do podcast interviews, that kind of stuff. And then Fridays are epic Fridays where I go climb a mountain, fly a plane, jump out of a plane. We'll do like bucket list items. And then Saturdays and Sundays are family days. So, right, like if you can figure out how to structure your day and your week into something that it's not work, it's enjoyable, that's the best success.
That's a great advice. Well, thank you, Jason. Thanks for joining us today. So before you leave, can you please let our viewers know how they can reach you if they want to? You can share your website, your social media handle, or whatever you want to.
Yeah, the best place to go is the website. You can go to swenk.it, SWENK.it, and it will take you to all our resources that we have. All of our resources are free. Over 850 podcast interviews, 700 videos on YouTube, all for you. Just we wanted to create a resource we wish we had. If you go there, check it all out. And if we can ever help, let us know.
Awesome. Well, Jason, it was really, really good conversation and I enjoyed it and learned a lot. So, well, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you.
Have a good day.